It's less than the president.
Congress is doing well.
Meanwhile, the Homeland Security Secretary says President Trump used tough language on immigration during a White House meeting last week, though she denied hearing a particular vulgarity during testimony that turned testy before the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday. Watch this.
Did President Trump use this word or a substantially similar word to describe certain countries?
I did not hear that word used, no, sir.
That's not a question. Did he use anything similar to that describing certain countries?
The conversation was very impassioned. I don't dispute that the president was using tough language. Others in the room were also using tough language.
I hurt. When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about his experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt and that pain and to dismiss some of the questions of my colleagues, saying I've already answered that line of questions when tens of millions of Americans are hurting right now because of what they're worried about what happened in the White House. That's unacceptable to me.
Does Cory Booker not think that everyone knows that that was just a performance because he wants to run for president? The way that he spoke with the Secretary of Homeland Security, to me, was unacceptable. What did you, I mean, as a professional woman, were you as outraged as I was?
Oh, with all the mansplaining, as the feminists would say?
Yeah, who did he think he was talking to?
It was incredibly condescending, and you're absolutely right. This is his platform where he thinks he wants to lead the mantle of their resistance against Trump. But I got news for the Democrats. Like, if you actually want to do something different, i.e. win in 2018 and 2020, you have to do something different, because they tried this in 2016. They tried to be racially divisive. They tried to divide us on whatever gender, whatever, however you want to slice and dice it, the identity politics. The left is not learning any different here. And in terms of immigration, they want to focus on language instead of policy. I think what you're doing actually matters a lot more. And what the president has said in terms of immigration that's based on substance and merit, that's what we should be focusing on. The fact of the matter is the National Academy of Science has reported that 58% of immigrants are on some form of public welfare. 58%. So basically what's happening is that middle-class Americans are taking their paychecks and subsidizing immigrants who are coming and taking more than they're putting into the system. That's the reality. And however you want to slice it, however you want, like, politics is about the allocation of resources. It's about hard choices. And what Cory Booker is, he's just being emotional.
No, he's putting on a show because he wants to run for president.
I think he probably is. I certainly can't assign motives to Mr. Booker. But when you talk about nomenclature, you're exactly right about it doesn't compare to deeds. I was visiting Mary Maller's program in the slums of Cape Town, that huge shanty town right outside of Cape Town. Last month, I was out in slum soccer and Magic Bus down in the slums of Mumbai. I'm going to Haiti in a couple months to visit the same sports programs there. People are not doing anything to help these places. They are terrible places. I don't agree with this term being used, if that indeed was used. It's just alleged right now. But that's taking away from the fact that we have places like this, the 9th Ward down in New Orleans. We found out it was just as bad as Haiti after Hurricane Katrina. We have places in our own country that are third world countries inside our country, and we're not doing anything about these inner cities, but yet we're arguing over what we call them. I think this is a total distraction.
Why does anybody sitting on that panel there think that that is a license to rip into somebody else? I'm talking about the way that Cory Booker spoke to the Secretary of Homeland Security. I think it was disgusting.
Because it was a public hearing, and so you see the difference between how they act in their private hearings, where nothing gets out and when nothing actually gets done, in public hearings where they use it as a platform for themselves. And so that's all it was. Whether it was Dick Durbin doubling down or whether it was Cory Booker putting on this sideshow.
Incredible. All right, we'll keep talking about it. We'll take a break. When we come back, police in Baltimore are on the hunt for 2 suspects this morning after a brazen shootout at a 7-Eleven overnight. Details on the robbery that led to the gunfire. Then Bitcoin sell-off this morning, the cryptocurrency plunging as governments move to regulate. Is the meteoric rise over? Back in a minute. Oversight hearing on border security took a real turn yesterday. I want to get your take. Senators began grilling DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen over her role in last week's White House immigration meeting. New Jersey Democrat Cory Booker hit her especially hard, yelling at her after she said she did not recall President Trump's vulgar language reportedly used during the meeting. Watch this.
your silence and your amnesia is complicity. I don't know if 73% of your time is spent concerned about the people in fear in communities in this country. I hurt. When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about his experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt and that pain and to dismiss some of the questions of my colleagues, saying I've already answered that line of questions when tens of millions of Americans are hurting right now because of what they're worried about what happened in the White House. That's unacceptable to me.
Goldman Sachs numbers are out. We're going to get them in a minute. They're better than expected. Judge, who did he think he was talking to? Talking to the Secretary of Homeland Security, putting on a show like that. That was outrageous.
He was talking to his political base in New Jersey, and I think it probably resonated with him. Now, I've known Senator Booker for many, many years, and this is the way he is. It was over the top. It was loud. It was disrespectful. This is what happens occasionally when cabinet members clash with a member of Congress in the opposite party. I'm not surprised to see it. That's the way he operates. He assures himself of re-election with his base in New Jersey.
Yeah, but Judge, in an era where you have men behaving badly and all of this harassment going on, to speak to a professional woman, and she's sitting there and he's yelling at her like she did something, is just terrible.
You know, she burst the bubble with just one or two words, which might have followed his ranting and raving. Something like, you know, I'm trying to answer your questions. I didn't come here for that, which is pretty bold of a person to say to a senator. Now, under the law, she does have to answer to that committee. She doesn't have to tolerate that behavior.
She doesn't have to tolerate yelling. Was he harassing her?
Oh, absolutely. He was aggressive.
I think he was.
He was verbally abusive. I mean, this guy, I would love to see, you just had Mark Short on talking about how so many terrorist threats and people who are coming in on these immigration programs. Where is this level of passion and just defense of the American citizen coming from Cory Booker? I didn't see any
where's
of
the
that.
passion about Kate Steinle's death? How about that?
Senator Booker was not in the room when the president said whatever he said or didn't say whatever some people said he said. But she was. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know what he said. And
that doesn't justify that kind of hostility toward her.
I agree with you, but I feel differently about this because I know him so well. He's such a likable person, and he's doing this for political reasons, not for any male-female animosity.
So what's Kirstjen Nielsen supposed to say? Oh, okay, so then I'll just be your punching bag for an hour.
Unfortunately, that's part of the job. I couldn't take it myself.
I don't think that should be part of the job. I don't think that's part of the job. I'm outraged by it.
Republicans have done it to Democrats
He's talking about emotion. He's like, tears of rage and all this. Like, okay, the whole point of being a senator is that you look at facts objectively. You make hard policy choices. You don't cry. You're not a crybaby. Again, if this was happening where a Republican male was yelling at a Democratic liberal female, the double standard would be just
Well, you have a very good point about the double standard, but no senator is perfect, and they all sometimes play to the base at home.
And the only reason he did this is because it was public, not a private hearing.
That's the only reason he did it, because the cameras were rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look, he gets his 15 seconds of additional fame. He gets us talking about him, and this resonates for him.
But isn't it a distraction from what the real issue is, from the real question he wanted to ask? He hardly asked a question.
Women everywhere should be upset by that.
I don't know what the real question was, whether it was the president used this phrase that the president now says he didn't use, and some senators say he did, and some senators say he didn't. That's what he was trying to get her to acknowledge.
I'm with you,
He was
Maria.
basically saying, how could you forget what happened 2 days ago when
He
it was
is
so
in no role to yell at her. If she doesn't recall, she doesn't recall. He's not any bigger than she is. She to belittle her like that.
It happens all the time. I mean, look at the way Eric Holder was treated by the Republicans in this very same committee, just as aggressively.
But to be Machiavellian, it doesn't work. You know, it doesn't.
It works depending upon what your goal is. If your goal is to resonate the base at home, it works. If your goal is to get her to change her mind, it doesn't work.
Well, it happens all the time. Have you heard of hashtag Time's Up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Andrew Napolitano.
By coming back.
We love you. Thank you so much. Judge Napolitano. Let's talk Goldman Sachs for a second. Reporting fourth quarter earnings. Big number here, both on profit and revenue. Kevin